One last chance for the IORA Cup Series field to make the most of the regular season. We are just a week away from the Season 7 playoffs and their beginning. But before that point, we must take it back to Florida, where the season has begun many a time before. This time it's not Daytona, however. This is Homestead, Florida. Welcome back to the IORA Cup Series for coverage of our regular season finale for Season 7. Tonight, we're at the Homestead-Miami Speedway for 120 laps of racing, the final before the playoffs begin. The championship picture has been shaping up well all season long. We've gotten a multitude of winners, including several first-timers, and as it stands at the top of the board, it is Aiden Walker with a 2-point championship lead over James Thurston. Into tonight, it's a very close battle. Walker looking for his first regular season title. He was snatched from it just one race the difference last season in Talladega. Welcome back live on FTN Broadcasting. I'll be your host for tonight's event. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. Currently 3 minutes left on the board as drivers get to work, more than 25 of which have registered. Chase Schaefer gets it up to the top of the charts in his first lap. Time's being taken now. The Monster Designs number 99, two-time race winner in Saturday Night Thunder this past season. Able to finish the season off in only 2 races. He won both of them, including a dominant performance last weekend to get himself a victory in Las Vegas. Lars Kinowith, however, goes up to the top of the board. That is Kinowith P1 by 54 one-thousandths of a second. Now you'll see Thurston, James Thurston, the Season 3 championship winner, back at the site where he claimed his title, drifting through the grass. And it looks like he goes second. He got ahead of Chase Schaefer as well. 2 minutes and 22 seconds left on the clock. Carlos Truther here in the number 39, ripping the high side. One-time race winner so far on the campaign. And he's looking to make it into the wild card slot. He's close. He finds himself 11th right now with Chase Schaefer also in that second wild card position. Truther is going to come across the line to end his qualifying run, and it looks like he doesn't have any validated times as he's made too much contact over the course of the last few laps. Aiden Donahue goes 20th, Christian Delgado 19th. Christian ran strong at Talladega, but it looks like struggling when it comes to qualifying here at this mile and a half. 13 spins, and it looks like now that machine's going to have to head to the garage. Aiden Donahue still on the way. Aladam Contreras moving here in the number 92. Daniel Mosteller, the former champion, sits third in the standings. He is just about 25 points off the title lead for the time being. Watch on board with the 87 Mosteller as he goes for his final lap. And it looks like Demos not all too happy with the way he ran into that lap, and he's going to back it down and head to pit road. That'll end his run. Walker across the line, your regular season points leader, takes it up to P12. So much to be desired for Walker there. I think he's going to want to improve as the race goes on. Wayne Kennedy, your Talladega winner, heads down to the inside of pit road. And it looks like he won't get a time in with 25 seconds on the clock. Mosteller also not able to get the job done. He heads into pit road beforehand. Only now Douglas Newbigin and Terrell Baker taking times. The Baker machine, the number 25, right now onto his 4th. He qualified 9th in this session. As Terrell comes through the line, and as does Douglas Newbigin, no match again for Lars Kinowith. Lars qualifies with a top time. It is a 32.836. The best time put on the board, and he has that gap, 41 thousandths of a second's worth. Good enough to take the advantage for the pole position as drivers line up once again for 120 laps from Homestead, the site of the Season 2-3 championship race, now a mid-season classic. And with stakes on the line once again, last season the regular season finale was in Talladega. a little bit of a wild card race that turned out to be. So won't be as hectic as it would be in Alabama, but the points race is tight. Your top two drivers separated by only 2 coming into the day. The sun is setting. The night lights are out here in Miami. It's about time we get to business with Kenneth up in front. Inside of row number 1 is the man we mentioned. It'll be Lars Kenneth taking the pole position, and right beside him, Sean Rowe, your Daytona race winner. He's going to be starting there in P2. Third place is the number 96 of James Thurston, and Aiden Donahue goes 4th with River Page 5th, and Chase Schaefer position number 6. To round out the top 3 rows is Schaefer, but then you'll have 7th place in Corbin Collins, Douglas Newbegin in 8th, and your top 10 is rounded out by Terrell Baker and Henry Kaloff in the 63. Kaloff chasing his first career victory close in Michigan, wasn't able to get the finishing touches off it. Mohamed Omir tonight will be in 11th, and Aiden Walker concludes the top dozen. The Baker's dozen sees 13th place just behind Walker. That tonight will be Dominic Barbagallo. Dom starts beside Daniel Salo in the 913, and Trevor Crosswhite making his IORA Cup Series debut. Salo and Crosswhite both making their first starts, and Aladam Contreras immediately after will start in 16th. Derek Shaver, 17th place. This is his second race of the season. Aiden Smith qualifying 18th. This is his first career run as well. 3 debutants from 13th down to 18th. Jason Semedo, P19. He'll be then 20th. Alexander Balderas. Beaver Serrano is going to go 21st. Devins Baker, 22nd. Xander McKinney, 23rd. And Hudson Sangster, 24th. Your 25th place man, just behind Sangster, Christian Delgado. Michael Deitch is going to be just behind him. That's going to be just after the fact for 28th. 29th is Rusty Plant, and 30th is then going to be Daniel Mosteller. And the final drivers on the field, you're going to see him there. Jacob Malone, Carlos Truther, and 31st of which is Wayne Kennedy. He qualified last in Talladega and won that race. We'll see if he can go for lightning striking twice tonight. Conditions will be fair as always from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. With it being night, of course, it becomes a little bit more favorable. As it stands, you'll see that ambient temperature coming in at 81 degrees Fahrenheit. The track temp is 84. Winds are northeast bound at 4 miles an hour. Stadium lighting mean the sun is going to fully set within the next 30 or so minutes. And by that point, well, you're going to see a significantly clearer track when it comes to visibility. A little bit of that fogginess coming from the sunset, but also it's going to be a cooler racing circuit. That'll give Kenneth more control, and the leaders as well, as they get to business. Some faces we don't always see up in front. Those are the guys who are starting first, second, and fourth. Thurston is a championship contender as he goes toe-to-toe with Aiden Walker tonight. But it'll be Lars Kenneth and Sean Rowe who bring us back to green in the Sunshine State. Welcome to the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Your regular season finale is underway to bring Season 7 to the playoffs. Lars Kenneth gets away on the opening lap and a half, and it looks like he's going to be in a comfortable spot now to, at the very least, lead this race in. James Thurston takes second place, and that's going to be notable for him because he's fighting directly against Aiden Walker. The championship race sees Chase Schaefer slide. He's going to go down spinning, barely avoids the wall just to get a tap of it. Caution's out. 99 of Schaefer brings out the yellow flag for the first time tonight. And he finds trouble coming out of 4. Watch this. Schaefer and Thurston never giving each other an inch. It seemed like that trend was continuing, but watch as the 99 was firmly behind Thurston, and the problem came on his own accord. Up the circuit, hit the wall, might have been minor contact from Page, and that it appeared to be. We'll take it back one more time and give you an extra angle as Chase Schaefer goes around spinning. Taking it from our eye in the sky here. First, there was contact between Schaefer and Thurston, and it looked like they got away from it, both of them there. Schaefer goes into 3. He's down low. River Page, though, watch out. He's up high, taking it to the high side of the circuit and surging outward. They meet each other, and it looks like brief contact as Page goes low. Schaefer was shoved high, then slams it back to the bottom. Contact between Page and Chase Schaefer. Chase catches damage on the front and back of the number 99 car. Not at all a comfortable position to be in, and unfortunately for Schaefer, he's going to catch the worst of it. River Page and all of that gets away. Brief contact, definitely not intentional, but both drivers meeting in the middle, and that's going to bring out the caution. Lars Kenneth gets the edge over James Thurston in these opening laps. It looks like no comparison so far between any other driver and the Kenneth car. Lars gets away. James Thurston gets it second. Third place right now is going to be Sean Rowe, and notably Aiden Walker, who is your regular season points leader, nowhere to be seen up in front. Right now, Walker finds himself running in the 21st position, way further behind than he would like to be if he looks to directly contend for the regular season championship. Again, last season in Talladega, he came in the points leader, only just, and ended up losing the regular season title to the eventual champion in Daniel Mosteller. Now, Demos remains mathematically eligible for the regular season championship, but so far, the favorite is another former champ, and that's James Thurston. Coming across the line for one lap to green, we'll go back at it at lap number 7 as the field returns to business. Thurston goes up high. Lars Kenneth opts to get the bottom, and a very familiar formation goes through 1 and 2. Top 10, mostly unchanged, of course. The biggest difference of all was Chase Schaefer falling out thanks to that incident. So now you have 14th place man, 14th in qualifying anyway, Daniel Salo getting up to 7th, Mohamed Omir going 11th to 8th, and otherwise the top 10 qualifiers have started strong. River Page is now 29th after he goes to pit road. Schaefer 6th, down to 30. Both drivers losing 24 positions in that ordeal. And now they'll get themselves back on the circuit and back on the lead lap to contend again. Going to be a longer night for the two of them than planned, though, as they have to start for the tail end and make their way up. His first restart comes early for every driver, and notably for Lars Kenneth, another chance to break away. Lars will take the green flag for lap number 7, and beside him again with the 96 of James Thurston. Here we go with Kenneth at the top of the board. Green flag's out, getting the ball rolling. Lars Kenneth, low, gets a car length off the entry of turn 1. In this opening 3/4 quarter of the first lap of restart number 1. Same formation as it was for the initial start. Single file up in front. A lot more of that double file tendency seen on back. Maybe a little bit more aggressive as Aiden Donahue goes down low. Aiden to the inside here as he gets it down and in. River Page is back on the way, and you can see him now 1 lap down, the first driver to go under. Chase Schaefer is now 29th. Schaefer trying to recover from some of that damage. You can see the right front is still tapped in. Page, however, going in, and he's now going to find himself very far behind. 1 lap down, the only driver off the lead lap of the 30 on the circuit. At the line, Lars Kenneth still leading, but Thurston getting a chance on the outside to pull it through. This is, by all accounts, one of Thurston's best tracks, and notably the cherry on top for this record of success in Homestead was the Season 3 championship he collected at this very venue. Thurston was eligible for the Season 2 title mathematically. However, too few drivers attended the final race to make anything of a difference, and Daniel Mosteller effectively held on to the championship by default. But in Season 3, as Daniel Mosteller sat the season out, the 96 was able to take over. Now, Thurston is looking to prove that after more than 2 years off of the championship trail, he can do it once again and win a title in the IORA Cup Series. Currently, it appears he's got it made for the race lead, and this could be for the regular season title as well, so long as Aiden Walker doesn't make his way up. But right now, Aiden is doing exactly that, up to the high spot he's seen all night long, in 14th on this opening run. Walker qualifying below expectations today, but it's been a season of defying expectations and finally breaking through for a victory. Now that Walker has at least one under his belt, he knows he can do it again, and he knows that he's done it. Those are two critical things for a driver and their confidence, and even though Walker last season was able to go through for more than 5 second-place finishes, it doesn't mean that the driver in question, say for instance Aiden Walker, really believes he can get it done until he does. So for Walker, finally getting a big race victory in Las Vegas, it meant everything to this team and has propelled them back to the position of being the regular season leader with 1 race to spare before the playoffs. It's critical action, and it is necessary action now as the field comes towards its last moments before the playoffs. And the playoffs will be everything for all those drivers that make it in. 10 drivers based on the point system, then 2 wild card drivers. It looks like right now those wild card men will be Chase Schaefer and Carlos Truther. To the race lead, Corbin Collins. It's the best that Collins has looked so far this season. Corbin getting up to the top of the board now and leading by 3.5 tenths. And not only is he leading, but he has broken away. He's decided to put James Thurston in the dust. Then you'll have Daniel Mosteller a little bit further on behind. And interestingly enough, Lars Kenneth falls back to 4th here. Mosteller and Thurston, they're both in the fight for the regular season championship. Keep in mind, Demos has 330 points. Thurston has 28 more in 358, and Aiden Walker has the most of all with 360 here. So those are the big 3 to watch out for tonight. The championship race is not over yet, but for the playoffs and the most bonus points, it all comes down to then. To the inside, Thurston, Kenneth staying together here. Douglas Newbing in 7th place as it stands. It looks like now Doug getting himself closer to the podium running again. 2-time 3rd place finisher on the campaign so far. There's Henry Kaloff in the number 63. Kaloff is going to need desperately a good run tonight. He finds himself 8th, so he's within the cut line, of course, but to build up more momentum for his Kaloff Deitch Racing crew, he really does need to keep getting those strong finishes in. Talladega was a big opportunity, sending a fleet of 5 into that event, but not coming out with a victory, and all those 5 drivers finished outside of the top 10 by race's end. So for Kaloff now, owner of his team, including guys like Aaron Schugel and Corey Lyles, recovery is necessary. One of his newer teammates in Hudson Sangster running right behind. Hudson going up top. It will be the battle for 8th place between the 2 teammates. Take a ride on board now with Sangster as he heads up top, and he's going to rip it high. Hudson makes use well of the top side, but isn't able to get fully through his teammate in the 63. Kaloff is just going to let the lap come back to him, and while Sangster dove in, it looks like Henry taking his expertise in this field and bringing it back in front. As that battle persists, Terrell Baker running strong today, 6th place, still looking for that real breakout run. TCB we know is a winner, and it looked like that Talladega, he was back into his best form, but unfortunately got caught up in some late race incidents, and that's really what did him in as to whether or not he could win that race. That was the difference maker. Here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, of course, things are very different. You can't necessarily break away from the pack. If you could, we'd really see a different style of racing here, but it's not the case. And so, while drivers have to manage their throttle times and their fuel loads and their tire wear, Baker is having one of his better nights of the intermediate so far. It's been this style of track where he has struggled the most in his limited IORA Cup Series tenure, but it looks like right now he's eyeing the top 5 and keeping those drivers in close sight. Sean Rowe, the number 29, and the 87 of Daniel Mosteller just ahead. Just a few tenths, in fact. Rowe down low. He's going to watch as Lars Kennewith takes Mosteller with him. Kennewith gets back up inside the podium. He was previously as low as 4th, but it looks like so far your pole sitter has not let up. The big anomaly so far in this early run is Corbin Collins. He's broken out to a 0.5 of a second, and so far it doesn't look to be a fluke. Matt Battle's graphics car looking for his first career win. Collins, a second season driver, coming in for his sophomore campaign. Daniel Mosteller watching now with the best seat in the house for a 3-car battle up top. Thurston tagging the wall, very close to doing what he did last Saturday. Thurston's had a tendency to ride that high side, and it's worked out pretty well for the most part. However, sometimes when he gets a little bit too opportunistic and tries to dive in deep, he tags it, and it causes some problems. Luckily for the 96 crew, he gets away from it again. And of course for Thurston, it all came down to that final race in the SNT Championship, where he ended up falling short to Matthew Weeks after leading for 13 of the 15 weeks on the schedule. In that point standings race anyhow. Thurston, of course, very upset with how that season went. He spoke to us and told us before the championship finale that if he didn't win the title, it would be all for naught. And it looks like it went that way. He's had a lot of gripes with the playoff system in multiple series, and it's been the difference maker between he and a championship, as he puts it. Tonight, he does not want that to be the case. He'll dive under Corbin Collins and now try to get to work on him again. But still, no dice. However, that gap has shrunk by more than half its distance to only 0.2. As Corbin comes across for lap number 23 here, Lars Kennewith falls back further. Daniel Mosteller is again in 4th. Sean Rowe currently P5. Then you'll have Terrell Baker a 0.5 second back. The gap from 1st to 6th is about 2 seconds to this moment. And it looks like now Collins in the wall again. While Corbin's has only gotten himself in a few brief rubs, gotta wonder whether or not those small instances of contact will make a big difference. So far, it looks like he's still rather confident behind the wheel, but Thurston has been trying to get up to him, and that defense from the 71 better be A-rate. Thurston never makes it easy to battle with him, especially if you're Chase Schaefer. But tonight, it looks like he might cut a little bit more slack. Take a ride on board from the back end this time, and watch as Collins tries to do his work on Thurston. The front bumper of the 96 is only getting closer. Corbin Collins knows it. The rest of the field does as well. 25 laps in out of 120. The Homestead-Miami Speedway, a little bit different compared to most intermediate circuits. And as we talk about the strategy game, Thurston dives even lower than he has before. He's now close to side-by-side, still can't quite get there. 120 laps on the day. However, we have an 80% fuel cap, which means that drivers are not going to use the fullest extent of their fuel cell. We usually would see almost 60 laps on one run. However, thanks to that limitation brought upon by the league, you're going to see a little bit of a different call today. Multi-stop strategy is mandatory. We didn't see anyone come in on that first caution, which means that everyone is still on cycle. However, with that said, the cycle is coming into its first point of no return. The first pit stop cycle is within 15 laps away for most drivers. They'll come in at about lap 40, and that's going to split the race into thirds. The 40-40-40 method, which would mean pit stops at lap 40 and lap 80, or thereabouts. 27 laps in, Corbin Collins has been running steadily at the head of the pack so far. Then you got James Thurston. Then you have Daniel Mosteller. Maybe another first-time race winner to add to the pylon. Wayne Kennedy as of recent. Aiden Walker finally getting the job done. Carlos Truther. Why not give Corbin Collins his dues? I think that's what he's thinking so far as he continues to lead, and Thurston, while cutting the gap to less than a tenth and a half, ends up now more than 2.5 tenths back. A significant difference. The 87 of Daniel Mosteller riding third, and he fallen further. Terrell Baker, 7th place. Douglas Newbigin gets up to 6th, sliding under TCB. Sean Rowe, 5th place so far in this race, and he's had his best season so far collectively in the IORA Cup Series. It all comes down to that victory at Daytona, the turning point for his campaign, and it was, of course, a reflection from the season prior. Had he not won that race, I highly doubt he'd be going at it full time. But now, he has himself 4th in the championship standings with that win and a lot of consistent running right alongside it. Rowe's victory was a big change for the 29 crew and their outlook on the season. It shows so far that he's still with us coming to our regular season finale, looking to give it a chance and try to fight with Daniel Mosteller and company. So far, he is 44 points back on Aiden Walker, your regular season championship leader, 14 back on third in Daniel Mosteller, and while maybe he slipped a little bit further back in the last few races, such as Talladega and Michigan, he is still firmly within the title fight, and that points reset is going to help him out immensely to pull it all back together for the second leg. Rowe is one of the best at the superspeedways. Last 2 seasons at Daytona, he's finished 1st and 2nd. Caution's out, yellow flag for the 2nd time today. Back of the field problem, and it looks like it'll be Aiden Smith, the first-time driver. Smith in the 09 is involved in this one. Take a look back. Smith, top side of the wall there, and it looks like contact sent him down and in. And 2 rookies perhaps getting involved there. Looking at what happened, the driver that was involved as well was the 024, Trevor Crosswhite. So yes, 2 new drivers were involved in that wreck. That's their first time getting involved in the caution for the both of them. Crosswhite and Aiden Smith, both in their first career races, and things come to a head between the 2 of them. Watch here as Crosswhite comes up. Smith was on his lane, and contact. Left rear quarter panel sends the 09 down. The yellow flag is out for the 2nd time today. 31 laps in out of 120. Pit road is busy, and everyone's coming down to get service. 4 tires and fuel, that's on the menu for most in the day. This will serve as the first pit stop of the 2 for the optimal strategy, which still could be called despite the first yellow flag. Another run of upwards of 40 laps could work out for these guys if they save well under yellow. Kennewick there. Sean Rowe. But no match for James Thurston. Thurston gets off the line, and he's going to find himself up and ahead. It'll be James Thurston, P1 off of pit road, winning the race off. Restart number 2, lap 34. A longer run, give or take 20 plus laps. First run was only about 3, and the 4th lap was when the caution came out. This time by, James Thurston gets to make his choice, and he'll decide to take it up to the top, giving once again Corbin Collins the bottom group. Kennewick will follow Collins. Rowe will follow the 96 of Thurston. The field will return green for lap number 34 here. This first pit stop cycle encompassing 34 laps, a little bit less than it would have been if we ran it fully under green. So the question more so becomes, what can be done now to stretch it? If we go under green, we might be at a deficit for the field. Doesn't mean that we're going to have drivers go all the way, but if that does occur, we might be at a little bit of a tricky spot. 40 plus laps will be necessary to get back on cycle with the green flag expectations. Field returns to green, and at its lead is James Thurston. Aiden Walker, his contender, biggest rival on the day anyhow for the regular season championship, sits 2 points ahead and currently 7 positions back. Let's see if he can cut that deficit when we head back at it now for restart number 2. Thurston's on the ceiling of the circuit, and Corbin Collins gets it down low. Both drivers exactly where they'd like to be, but Thurston gets off significantly better. Green flag's out. It's your second restart and the first for Thurston at the helm. Big contact. It's going to be Corbin Collins going around the 71 in the wall. Yellow flag is out for the 3rd time. Collins brings out the caution and a quick end to our second run. This restart and subsequent yellow flag are going to help out in saving tire, but it's not going to help Corbin Collins in particular. Running second at the time of the incident. He was loose through 1 and 2, and it looks like he was coming slightly up the track. Lars Kennewick, contact, that's the finisher. 71 drifts inward. Minor contact, minor damage. Shouldn't be race ending, but the field will freeze. Restart number 2. We'll head back at it for lap number 38, it appears now. With a caution like this, several laps of fuel will be saved, and that might be enough to put these guys back on that cycle that we mentioned before. Cautions are beginning to breed cautions. 2 yellows in the last 5 laps. James Thurston once again at the helm here. Daniel Mosteller able to slide into second as a result of that contact. Lars Kennewick fades back to 3rd, and it looks like rubbing up. That instance is going to send him further behind. Corbin Collins now down to 30th and last according to timing and scoring as he heads into pit road here with Chase Schaefer. So a few drivers coming in, only of which for mandatory repairs. Currently, every driver on the field is still on the lead lap. Chase Schaefer's recovery, let's talk about that briefly. He's making his way back up. Number 99 team is trying to return to the head of the field, but he heads down to pit road once again. 28th place as it stands. He goes down to pit road and gets a little bit more of that front end fix up. Looks significantly better than it did the first time we checked on it. Comes down mostly to the time here. More cautions that Schaefer gets, the better a chance he'll have at a completely furnished car. So far, looks like the Monster Designs 99 is close, but he'll need a little bit more time and perhaps a caution or two in his ideal world to really have a shot. Less time there is, the harder it's going to be for him to contend and compete. Gets back in line again. Thurston's up top. Mosteller is down low. And once again, James takes it to the ceiling of the circuit. It appears so far he is most comfortable up there. Lars Kinnewith lies third place here. And it looks like so far that 7-Eleven machine has only lost 2 spots from the pole position and is very clearly still in contention. Kinnewith eyes his chance at win number 1 in his IORA Cup Series career. In the top 10 right now, Kinnewith, Baker, Kaloff are the 3 who have not yet won a race. Aiden Donahue actually makes that 4 as the 82 gets up there. Nearly half of this top 10 is still looking for that first. Could be tonight, or it could be the championship contenders. Second and third in points line up first and second. Thurston will get the jump on the high side, and as per usual, he makes that outside work well. Car length of an advantage into turn 1 for lap 38. James gets the car length, and he keeps it through the back straightaway. Here comes the 913 of Daniel Salo, the rookie in his first career start. Mohamed Omir in the number 72 eyes the bottom as well. Henry Kaloff gets to tow with Aiden Donahue. 2x2, very briefly. However, again, it becomes that 1x1 nature. Homestead especially challenging to pass when the rubber hasn't been laid down. Thurston goes up high. Debo slams the wall. And it's going to be a crossover move. Thurston to the inside, and he'll take big advantage of the 3-time champ's mistake. James Thurston coming through. He'll take the lead again, only by virtue of the 87's minor flaw. Minor enough that he's already recovered to resurge and take the top spot back. That is textbook back and forth racing between these two men. It looks like now Thurston gets in the wall and hangs up there. Coming down the back straightaway once more. Sean Roan, the number 29. Aiden Walker in the 93, getting closer here. Watch out for Aiden Walker. He is 7th as it stands and getting closer to his rivals for the championship lead. He needs every position he can get right now to maintain the regular season title and go in as the playoff favorite with the most bonus points at all. Walker following Dominic Barbagallo. The gap between these two drivers about 0.2 of a second at the most. It's a little bit less than that now while your top 2 run away for lap 42 out of 120 here. This stint on tire has only lasted about 10 laps, but only 5 of which have been under green. So these drivers have fresh enough rubber to go the distance. They just have to worry about the fuel numbers here. If we are to go green the rest of the way, we would still be eyeing a pit stop at about lap 80, lap 85 perhaps. Just depends on how well and how serious drivers took that fuel saving under the caution. The better they did with that, the longer we can run from here, and maybe that's going to give us some greener racing. Derek Shaver side by side with Mohamed Omir. Shaver breaking out in the number 30 at Talladega. Aiden Donahue loose. Aiden saves it. He'll go side by side again with Henry Kaloff. There's Dominic Barbagallo on the high side. He gets the wall briefly here, but Kaloff down low is still 3 wide. Aiden Donahue getting pressured big as he gets shot back the ladder further. Here comes the number 94 of Jason Semedo. And Jason's looking for a move here. 3 wide as it stands to the inside, Aladam Contreras. Contreras on Mohamed Omir. Every groove being used in the Hornet's Nest. The optimal grooves are being used for the lead. That is the difference. If you've got that track position, you've also got that emphasis on comfort. You can't afford to be anywhere else than where you would like to be when you're racing for the race lead. Do what you know best. In these cases, further on back, in the mid-pack, you might not have that privilege, and so you have to make whatever you have work well. Making do with what you have is the big thing about these mid-pack fights. While a driver might be fast, maybe even faster than the leaders, if they're caught up in a line they don't want to be on, mired in the mid-pack, they're never going to show that potential, and you're never really going to see that they're the guys who are going to get up there and fight for the lead. Right now, the 95 of Alexander Balderas is an example of that. He's trying to get himself outside of this bottom half of the field. He qualified in about the 20th position today, and so it looks like he's been caught up in this range for the majority of the night. Multi-time top 10 finisher, winner last season and the season prior, still hasn't found his first this campaign, and he's trying to get back to business. In Season 6, he won his first start of the season, and it looks like no such luck this time around. Season 5, likewise, he did it in the first 3 races of the year. And if it can't come early, the question is, does it come at all? He would try to go for 3 consecutive seasons of at least 1 race-winning effort. And right now for Balderas, it looks like that still isn't the case. Far out of the playoff picture when it comes to the numbers, unfortunately now. It just comes down to whether or not he can get that miracle win tonight. That would be the only differentiator for the 96 of Thurston, though. He's watching back as the 87 of Mosteller comes. Thurston goes up high, surging to the top once again. Hasn't worked always to keep that race lead, as you can see, losing time to Mosteller, but Demos gets loose. Across the stripe again. That attempt for the race lead does not work out in Mosteller's favor. Instead, Daniel has himself about 2 car lengths back. James Thurston, he's got the lead again. Lars Kennewith has been watching, and most importantly, Lars Kennewith has been waiting. He hasn't particularly gotten the room nor the rhythm to get up to the race lead, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. He just hasn't found the right time, the right instance to really make that push. I think that's something that drivers sometimes worry too much about. Whether or not they have the right timing, well, that's one thing, but whether or not you got the position as well is another. To combine both really gives you an advantage over your competitors here, and that's something that has to be optimized if you want to go out there for the win. That's something that these 2 young men have done so well in their careers. We've been watching them race now for more than 3 years against each other directly, and it looks like, again, it's an instance of a fight between Thurston and Mosteller. Both championships, of course, they have 4 titles between them, and they are perhaps the 2 most successful drivers in every category of the IORA Cup Series and its existence. So why not have these 2 as the examples? Homestead, a very particular track. That's why it comes so well to that number 96 of Thurston. I think that's something that is seldom addressed and directly acknowledged from the 96 crew. His ability to make things happen when it matters most at Homestead reflects his particular strategy. Not often is he a driver who has it sort of generalized. He doesn't go in with no game plan. He goes in the opposite route, instead goes full on, and has prepared himself so well, so consistently, that he always has an advantage over the drivers around him. Daniel Mosteller has strength in numbers in this respect. He's always on the racetrack. He has so much time put into things like the official series on iRacing that he has an understanding that is almost unparalleled compared to his peers. I say almost, because look who's keeping it at bay right now. It's the number 96. These are the 2 you want to watch for the championship, if not Aiden Walker, the remarkably consistent 93. Go back to the winners, and you'll see why they're winners again. Daniel Mosteller to the inside now. The 87 in the Chevrolet Camaro drops low. I think these 2 set such a fantastic example in that respect that even the new guys have gotten closer just by watching. It's that learning process that makes everyone better. That's why Lars Kennewith is having a very good night once again. It looks like even still, he's in 3rd. He qualified on the pole position, but it's very challenging to keep that spot even if you start up in front. That's going to be one of those issues for a young driver, for a less experienced driver. James Thurston, the 96, still watching and waiting here, but only watching the backside. He doesn't have to concern himself now with what's going on. Terrell Baker having a standout day in his own right. Watch out for TCB. He's looking out for his first podium finish. He's gotten close closer, shall we say. Top 15s he has become more regular to, but the top 5s and top 10s are still more of a challenge. A night like this could really bring him out of the bottom rungs and show that he's still got the speed we know him of having for more than a half-decade ago. His experience in league racing is unparalleled in terms of the straight numbers. Some of these guys weren't even on the platform when he was getting his biggest wins. And it goes to show TCB, a driver with more than a decade and nearly a decade and a half of sim racing under him, is still here, even if it's taken him a little bit of time to adapt. Walker goes up top on Baker. That's a big move, and it could propel him closer to maintaining the regular season points lead. Aiden Walker has been fighting and clawing all night long. And it looks like, even still, his job is not done yet. Gotta remember, tonight he qualified 12th. He has gained 8 positions so far, and from his lowest point, he's gotten back up 16 spots. The road to recovery is never easy for a driver when they fall back and falter, but it looks like right now, Walker is putting himself up to the challenge. One driver retired in Xander McKinney in the number 40. Everyone else is still going here. And contact. Caution. It's going to involve Aiden Smith, and it looks like it involves Devin Baker. Devin's Baker involved. Looks like Smith as well. Take a look back, and you'll see what caused it. Starts, in fact, with this Smith team. Baker actually slows down as a response to it. Watch what happens as the 09 goes 3 abreast. Contact with the rookie again. These two make contact for the second time. It is once more an incident between the 024 of Trevor Crosswhite. There's Michael Deitch. But Crosswhite who goes up high, and Smith who goes down to the bottom. For the second of 3 cautions, both of these rookies are involved, and they have been magnets to each other all night, and it happens again. Take one more look here from On Board with Aiden Smith. Smith gets lucky in that he actually kept it straight. Trevor Crosswhite ends up spinning out. Yellow flag flies. Lars Kennewith. At the time of your yellow flag, the race leader, and everyone comes down to pit road. So this will be a 3-stop race at the minimum now. Thurston bursts out, but look who beat him. Chase Schaefer have a pit stop. He gets himself up to the top of the board on an alternate call. That was a 2-tire stop. 4 seconds faster on his pit box than any other driver. That's the move that brings Chase Schaefer back to relevance from 30th to 1st. Understandably, for Chase Schaefer, it's a go big or go home moment. He's fallen so far behind for the majority of the night. He needed that opportunity. Schaefer to the bottom. The 96 of Thurston up top. Lars Kennewith goes 3rd. And of course, the 87 of Daniel Mosteller gets there with. The field gets back together, and through these opening 60 laps, give or take, 28 drivers are on the lead lap, 29 of 30 are still racing. The last of which, who is now off the lead lap, is Trevor Crosswhite, involved in his second caution of the day. And it looks like getting caught up again with Aiden Smith. Both incidents don't seem to be intentional. It just happens that those two were involved with each other once more. Unfortunate coincidence for your rookies. Hopefully they can pull it all together. It's your first of 2 races tonight live on FTN. You're watching to the halfway point now, so maybe we can keep you the whole night. Highline Racing League begins at 9:30 p.m. Eastern as they go racing again at another oval circuit. We'll keep you posted with more info as we go to our post-race coverage. Green flags out, though, for Chase Schaefer for the first time since his lap 4 wreck. He's back in business. Green flags out, but a slow start makes it nearly 4 wide into turn 1. Thurston Bobbles goes up high to Mosteller. Lars Kinnewith takes the race lead. And a massive drop back there from the number 99 of Thurston. Of course, both Thurston and Schaefer only to go 3 wide again. Now Thurston surges. He'll end up high. Lars Kinnewith is back in business now with new tire. Chase Schaefer fades back, and it looks like as soon as he went big, he'll be going home. Devins Baker spins. Yellow flag. Does it fly? It looks like the call on the field is not yet. We'll keep on going as Baker ends up sliding around. It looks like we will continue under green. Baker gets back on the way. Minimal damage will continue. Lars Kinnewith to the inside of Daniel Mosteller. The battle for the lead again is a side-by-side fight. And it looks like here, James Thurston in the 3rd position. He's got it made as well, just getting ever closer to what Kinnewith has going on. Caution's now out. The call on the field after another incident. And it looks like Aiden Donahue involved in this one. It'll be your 5th on the day. Watch this. So Aiden was up on the high side, found himself there alone, and then there's the rookie of Rusty Plant getting into him, and it looks like the 0-3 lost it on his own and came down and into Donahue. Here's one more replay, focusing more particularly on the rookies. So far tonight, at least one of your debuting drivers in some form or another have been involved in 4 of 5 incidents. Although this is the first for the 0-3. He was hit to begin with. That's what happened. Sliding thanks to the 0-3, and he stayed loose, then hit Donahue. Caution's out. Donahue ends up making contact there with Wayne Kennedy. And that puts Wayne into the wall pretty fast. Yellow's out. Daniel Mosteller leads the way. 62 laps in out of 120. First half has come to pass. 59 laps remain. And Demos is advantageous. Little bit of time to spare. We go yellow flag once again. Not going to be racing for this brief moment, but the pace car is out, and we'd like to thank our partners and associates live on FTN. If you've enjoyed tonight's coverage, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. We've got 2 broadcasts tonight, one beginning at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, whenever this broadcast concludes. So if you want more racing action on FTN Broadcasting, stay tuned from here to the very end of the day. With that said, we're going to take a brief step aside. You'll see our non-stop coverage. You won't miss a thing, and we'll return with 1 lap to green. Thank you for tuning in to the Season 7 regular season finale from the IORA Cup Series. We'll be right back.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
57 laps remain as Daniel Marceller will bring the pack back to action. Lars Kinnewith is on the inside, but the control car and the control line has once again become the top. A lot of confidence today in taking it up to the ceiling of the circuit compared to usual. We'll see if it works out again. Green flag's out. Daniel Marceller's got it made. Chase Schaefer goes down low. Lars Kinnewith cannot hold a candle into this opening stretch. And Demos is up top. Rel Baker is going to find himself now in the 5th position as it's a 3-wide move under for Sean Rowe. Rowe, again, does have something at stake tonight. He's hoping to preserve as many positions as he can in the playoff picture. The points will reset, but every spot matters. It's 3-wide for Carlos Truther now. Truther is your first of 2 lucky dog drivers. Both he and Chase Schaefer find themselves eligible. Schaefer is battling against Wayne Kennedy for that eligibility, so he cannot afford to have a bad night today as Newbegin goes low. As it stands, however, Wayne Kennedy runs 26th. Chase Schaefer finds himself only just further ahead. And those 2 drivers, while both having subpar nights, Schaefer still getting the better of in the 99. And Daniel Marceller comes down the back a half-second leading. Lars Kinnewith up top. Sean Rowe down low. Daniel Marceller out of sight. Big race for him, even though if Thurston stays where he is, it's going to be very, very hard to make his way up to the 2nd spot. 3rd place for Aiden Walker in the championship standings might be a reality if Marceller stays where he is and Walker stays behind Thurston. But this is the closest those 2 drivers have been on track. The gap is only about a 1/10 of a second at its lowest. It once again spreads out, but within a half second, within 3 places, Aiden Walker is getting there. Take a look on board once again. Aiden dives down low, following Sean Rowe here. Thurston is trying to keep his back end all over the number 11 of Lars Kinnewith. Walker is still just a little bit, perhaps a cut below when it comes to that pace. Nevertheless, it's been a strong day so far for the 93 team to get up to the top 5. Not all hope is lost, but Thurston's definitely going to make it a challenge tonight. As you can see here, running down the back straightaway again. Up top, Thurston for 2nd. Kinnewith in the number 11 gets it to the bottom. 29 of Sean Rowe runs 4th. Aiden Walker 5th. Douglas Newbegin going to be P6 here. And then you got Terrell Baker rolling to the high side. Baker again is trying to slide in the top 5, but it looks like that's going to become a fight between he and TCB. For the 93 of Walker anyway, he's got to watch out. Baker wants a big race, and he wants the big performance. Daniel Marceller 4/10 up at the line. Still, we are going to see one more pit stop cycle from here, no matter what. Not enough time on the table, or perhaps too much time on the table for drivers to go without a pit stop from this point forward, which means that we're going to see drivers split the remaining 50-some laps. And if they don't choose to split it on the dot down the middle, they're going to have to decide exactly when that call must be made. Most likely within the next 25 laps of this run, rather than going the distance. The Hornets Nest sees River Page. Page right now getting himself closer. Last time we went racing in Michigan, of course, just last week, it was Champions Row. All former champions finishing inside the top 5, with Sean Conklin winning, James Thurston, Daniel Marceller, and River Page all coming through for top 5 performances. Perhaps the most dominant race we saw from the best ever to do it in one of the best ever fields we've had, no less. So wonderful to see that from River Page. It looks like, unfortunately tonight, maybe he's not bringing the same pace back to it. However, of course, he's got a lot more time to make that happen. And there's Alexander Balderas, the 95, going low. Page was struggling for the majority of Michigan. I will tell you that much. It doesn't mean that the night is over, even if you're far back with 50 laps remaining, because those next 50 could be the difference between, of course, victory or demise. And that could go in both directions. You could be up and in front and fade back, or you could be way back and end up winning. Oh, Balderas right there in a close fight. He's going to get away from it. Again, that's with the rookie and Aiden Smith. Got to watch out for Smith. Whether or not the incidents have been his fault, he's been involved in 2 so far today, and both of which coming with the same driver around him in Trevor Crosswhite. So we'll see if those were 2 mere coincidences or it might be a trend to look out for. Of course, it's still only Aiden's first career race. For Balderas, he's been here since Season 2 in a full-time capacity. 48 laps to go. 2/10 back is James Thurston, still watching as Daniel Mosteller holds the edge. I think you got to wonder right now, what is Daniel Mosteller thinking about when it comes to defense? He wasn't able to win last week. Sean Rowe got everyone beat. There was no doubt about it when he came onto the racetrack, and he left no doubt as he exited. And that makes everyone think again, what exactly can they do now with that victory behind them? What can you do to reevaluate your position and become an even better driver based on what you saw? Tonight for Mosteller and Thurston, it looks like they've taken those lessons to heart to really push up in front, but also they pushed at each other. Maybe something we saw a little bit less of in Michigan as everyone tried to chase after Conklin. It's a big move there from James Thurston. He'll get himself up to the top spot. In that de-emphasis on calm, controlled racing up and ahead has to be taken with that grain of salt, as always. Just because you want to make big moves doesn't mean you can do so uncontrollably speaking, but also you got to make those big decisions and big moves to prepare for what's yet to come. Here down low, James Thurston sees Mosteller take it. There have been multiple swaps for the race lead over the course of the last 15 laps, even over the course of the last 5 laps here. No doubt about it, the field is ready to keep on battling. Here comes Lars Kennewith. Kennewith from 3rd is now looking for a shot at the race lead. And why not for Kennewith? Pole sitter, he's had a great night in his own right. He just wants to capitalize on it when it's all said and done. He'll go up high, but Aiden Walker goes down low. Again, Walker needs to be within 2 spots of Thurston to guarantee that regular season title. Aiden heads down, drops to the inside. This could be major now for the 93. Down low. Contact. And Walker is now trying to push himself in to take that spot, a critical position in the final moments of this race. They're coming up very soon, so with 44 to go, Walker needs at the very least to enter the top 3. Spread 3 wide. The 87 of Mosteller heads up top, Kennewith in the middle. This will get Aiden Walker as high up to 2nd if he can execute both passes. That still isn't any guarantee either. But watch now, Walker gets it in the middle of these 2. That's going to be for 3rd. 4th place would then be Kennewith, of course, and you'll have immediately behind the both of them 5th place in Douglas Newbigging and Sean Rowe for 6th. Watch what happens here. It's about to get hectic between these drivers. 42 laps to go. Aladam Contreras side by side with Corbin Collins and Carlos Truther. Corbin Collins gets to the inside. Contreras gets the middle here. And it looks like even though he might not be all the way down to the bottom, the advantage still comes in the form of that 92. Contreras is pushing. Collins, previously leading and leading early at that, has fallen out again. Hasn't necessarily fallen off the wall, but it looks like he still has himself in a good enough spot to keep fighting. Terrell Baker for 10th. But for the race lead, it's even tighter. Watch out for Daniel Mosteller again and Aiden Walker. Walker heads to the inside. The 93's got it driving deep. And it looks like now Walker's got a shot for P2. It's his second chance in the last 5 laps to make it official. He hasn't gotten there yet, beating and banging again off the 87. Watch out now for Walker. He will not be denied in a position like this. It is do or die. 40 laps to go. The regular season championship came down to Mosteller and Aiden Walker last season. For the 93 team, underperforming by virtue of a late race wreck, that was the difference maker. That's the reason he lost it. This time around at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, he does not want to repeat that same fate. Shades of Sean Rowe getting his Daytona redemption. Walker now wants his redemption for the regular season title. Here comes Aiden Walker for the race lead. Thurston stays high. Thurston bides his time and chooses instead to work the top portion of the circuit. He hasn't decided to go all out on either being defensive or going back at him. It looks like instead he's going to wait and see what the immediate reaction is from his newfound competitor, and that is to take the race lead. Aiden Walker, after 82 laps, finally gets it up front. It's a fight that's been long in the making, and it's been long awaited for the 93 to at least get there, but he'll fall back again. To get there once is a major sign that Walker still has a shot, but it looks like so quickly the dominant man in Thurston gets it back in front. They'll go side by side once again, toe-to-toe between the number 93 and the number 96. Advantage, Walker briefly into turn 3. Lars Kennewith remains watching. Even though Daniel Mosteller has also slightly fallen off, it doesn't mean that the job is done for him. 37 laps to go as the field crosses the line once again. You got to keep in mind, every moment matters. That's certain. But also now, do you start to fade back if you're one of those guys outside the top 2? I don't think that's the way to go. Instead, you got to keep in mind, every moment could be an opportunity to save your equipment now. We still are within, to our estimates, about 15 laps of our next pit cycle. And when that pit cycle comes, everyone's going to split their stint and make it in. Whether or not they choose to do so now or if they choose to do so in the next 20 laps. The window is wide open, mind you. That's still a question, but we have a firm understanding exactly of what we want to see. An easy pit stop cycle for the field, and I think they're going to be able to make it look easy with all the time they have. 36 to go. Aiden Walker's taking the lead and now has it firmly. The 93 looking to seal the deal in a regular season title, long awaited. Coming across the stripe for 35. 35 laps to go. The magic number from here is uncertain. Pit stops could happen at any time now, but we only know one thing, that they will happen. It's a guarantee from this point. A driver would have to go for some 65 laps to make it happen all the way. That distance isn't impossible, not in the slightest, but with our situation of having an 80% fuel cap, it will not work out. So drivers have to ration fuel if they want to go further, but accept the fact that they have to go to pit road no matter what. Daniel Mosteller getting in with Lars Kennewith. Kennewith to the inside. Douglas Newbigin also goes with. Henry Kaloff and Carlos Truther following behind Sean Rowe. Rowe's got it up to the ceiling. He barely gets away from the brush. The air bubble on the high side of the wall has been so much of an assistance to these drivers. That's the one thing about Homestead. If you work the high side well, you got a lot of leeway. Even if you're aggressive up there, you got that higher side with the darkest of rubber, and you'll see it through the corners once again. That's where drivers really push themselves. Watch this bundle. It's a small one between Kaloff and River Page and company. Watch where Carlos Truther is. He's right up to the darkest portion of the pavement, right before the outside wall. If you push yourself up there, the wall and the aerodynamic forces are sending you right back onto the track rather than getting stuck up in the wall. And that push helps the driver go further. I mean, Truther gets in the wall there, but you really have to go into the wall to make that happen. Otherwise, if the driver's in their groove, they're being pushed out. And it's like an air bubble that keeps you safe up there while pushing at your best. That's why Truther was able to get away even though he was close to slamming the wall multiple times. Thurston is still watching as he is now 1 second behind Aiden Walker, who has broken out and could be on the verge of his second career win. Watch out now for Aiden Walker. 90 laps in, here comes Lars Kinnewith and James Thurston. Thurston's got to watch out because Lars wants a spot. Kinnewith just behind. Douglas Newbigging's gotten up to 4th and superseded Daniel Mosteller. Again for Newbigging, it could be his 3rd podium of the season. Overall, it's been a very strong rookie campaign for Newbigging, notably as of late, although it does not look like he will make his way into the regular season. Of course, conclusion, enter the playoffs. He has shown potential that he could become a future top 3 driver on a regular basis. The podiums have come easier and easier for Newbigging after attaining his 1st, and now he'll look low again on Lars Kinnewith. And this battle has been a back-and-forth one, but it looks like this time by, Douglas has the advantage in pace. 9/10 up. Aiden Walker is gone for the rest of the field. With time to spare, Sean Rowe, Corbin Collins coming in. This is the pit window we mentioned. Now everyone's coming down. Watch out for the 71 of Collins and the 29 of Sean Rowe. These 2 drivers are the first of many up at the front of the field who are due to head into pit road, and they'll make the move first. That's a signal to guys like Walker. Their time may be up before they head to pit road for one final mandatory pit stop. The numbers are not working out in their favor to stay on the track. They'll just have to go down and in. 29 laps remaining, make it 28. Aiden Walker still to the point here. He was a second up at the line last time by. Then you got Thurston, Kinnewith, Newbigging, 1, 2, 3, 4. Top 10 goes back to Terrell Baker here. Baker continues to battle, this time with Beaver Serrano. Serrano's been part-time for the last 3 seasons, but in his limited appearances, he's had better runs than ever before. Currently, Beaver's having some internet troubles. Immediately as we speak, in fact, but he's going up high as Baker dives down low, and it looks like while he's not committing to pit road, he might be sending the signal his time is up soon. Walker still leads. Rowe back on the way. Aladam Contreras in the 92 also gets right out. 27 laps to go. But time coming to a close end in this race. You got to wonder, when will a guy like Daniel Mosteller or Aiden Walker head to pit road here? We're still seeing more and more of the field come in. There's Douglas Newbigging. Walker this time by, stays out. Thurston, more of the same. Demos has just gone through and is now back on his outlap, in fact. He's going to try to recover and reverse the cycle with his new tire. See there, the 71 of Newbigging gets back on the way. Walker is still racing. It is now past lap 90. We're going to have under 30 laps to go from this point. The first 90 laps of this race, despite a few yellow flag blips in between, have gone by rapidly. And I think for Walker, he understands now that this is a short sprint. 20 laps at any intermediate go by fast. But at one of this nature, Homestead-Miami Speedway, even though sometimes the laps are by the numbers a little bit longer, it goes by quick. These drivers cannot doubt themselves for a moment if they want a chance to succeed. Across the line once again. It's going to be 25 to go officially. Walker still holds fort, and he's waiting for the chance to officially go into pit road. The SKS graphics card now concedes. Daniel Mosteller goes by to get his lap back. Thurston slides. He'll get in as well, barely committing as he swerves. So does Lars Kinnewith. 1, 2, 3 in consecutive order. That gives River Page the race lead. That was a dicey entry for all of those guys involved. I'll tell you what. Could have been a lot worse. Luckily, first and foremost, it wasn't. They all did a great job at keeping it in one piece. But also now, Page has a shot to run longer and maybe get himself a proper undercut. Of course, the other driver's undercut. This will give him a longer advantage to go harder in his final stretch. River up high. Thurston to pit road, and you'll see now River Page has gotten on the way. His Power Smash teammate is next up on that order. Talk about a hard fight. Carlos Truther, the 39, gets on the way, as does River Page. Overall race leader still is going to be Page making his move. Daniel Mosteller in the 87 relative to his competitors appears to be firmly ahead. Demos is now scored overall in 8th. Walker overall 14th with 23 laps to go. Next time by with only 22 laps remaining, we're going to crank it up with our friends at TrackCams22.com and most of all, newly Whiplash SimCams. Providing iRacing's best cameras on the market, Whiplash SimCams gives you the chance to test out iRacing's premier broadcast cameras for free. Visit their Discord server for more information. All track and car packages cost $5 a piece with no licensing fee. Visit Whiplash SimCams for more information. Thank you to the Pit Stop TV crew for welcoming us to the Whiplash family. With 22 to go now and time to spare before the checkered flag falls, let's crank it up from the Homestead-Miami Speedway as we enter lap 100. Time runs out, but the job is not finished as Daniel Mosteller fights on. He's 4 seconds back now on Chase Schaefer, but you gotta realize now both these drivers are still hanging on with what they've got. Aiden Walker further on back. Walker right now, the 93, looks poised to take the race lead once again, and it looks like he is the favorite to go toward the checkered flag. Demos, P2, Schaefer, P1, and the older rubber for those two drivers while they went down to pit road might be their biggest disadvantage. They've got upwards of 11 laps on them now and are closing in on their 15th, in fact. Here comes Schaefer on Devins Baker. The gap between Walker and leader Schaefer is 6 seconds. That is 6 seconds to play with 16 laps to go. Chase Schaefer still holds on here, but you can see now the back end of his 99, there's nobody around him. Clutching and coasting, no longer going to work out. Chase Schaefer will concede. It looks like he will not have a chance to fight for the win. That gives Mosteller the edge, and now he's got the overall top spot with 15 laps to go. Kennewick gets up to 5th. Newbigging to 3rd. He goes up to 2nd, in fact. That gives Aiden Walker the bottom spot on the podium. Walker here only has 14 laps to make up a gap of a mere 2 seconds. 5 laps ago, that was a 6-second advantage he'd have to make up, a majority of it cut off by virtue of Schaefer conceding. And as he went down to pit road, it makes it an even smaller distance between Demos, Newbigging, and of course himself. The 93 of Walker continues to gain. His first target will be Douglas Newbigging. About a half second up on the road is that 0.71. Douglas Newbigging here is trying to cut through the traffic, but it won't work all too much. The 82 of Aiden Donahue fades back, and Newbigging makes his way through. "12 laps remaining, coming to 11. Daniel Mosteller right now has an edge over Newbigging, but it looks like even before Schaefer and company comes up with new rubber or Aiden Walker takes the race lead, then it's going to be Demos falling back. Here comes Chase Schaefer. He'll take it high, and he's going to get his lap back. That's going to bring Aiden Walker through and cut the road wide open. Walker still watches. Up top goes Newbigging, significantly slowed down, only to block the 93. That'll send Walker down the circuit, 10 laps to go. Daniel Mosteller, now only one driver away, is the 93 of Walker. He gets by Newbigging despite the aggressive passing and blocking, and now he'll be undeterred with 0.2 of a second the difference. Demos right there, 15 100ths. We'll see now if Walker can capitalize. Walker has the speed and he has the tires, and that tire difference will be everything. Down low. Daniel Mosteller goes up top. It'll be side by side now through turns 1 and 2. And it'll be no debate coming off the corner. Aiden Walker now has it down the back straightaway. If he only holds it to turn 3, he'll take the race lead, and the 8 laps from here would be his. Mosteller won't let up. He'll slide up high, and that could be the death sentence for the 87's chances. Aiden Walker takes the race lead. It's a gap now of 0.2 of a second. Walker only has 8 laps to go in a night where he qualified dismally and in the first 5 laps fell under the top 15. Who would have thought now that he'd have himself as a race leader with now less than 10 laps to go? It was all down to the 96 of Thurston and the 93 of Walker. 2 points. That was the difference. And now it looks like it's going to be a bigger spread as Thurston runs in 5th. And Walker, of course, leads. If Aiden Walker can pull this one off, it could be the most momentum any driver's had coming directly into the playoffs, specifically because of how his regular season ended last year and last season. He would never have wanted a repeat. And it looked for the first half of this race that he would get exactly that, falling back when it mattered most and fading right off of the back end of Daniel Mosteller. With 6 laps to go, why not give a chance to the 93? He's worked it as hard as anyone has this season, and he's looking for his second win on the calendar. Douglas Newbigin coming up on Daniel Mosteller once again. Aiden Donahue still right behind, but again, Donahue not a leading contender in this mix. It looks like right now it'll be Newbigin and Demos. Mosteller's been able to hang on against the 71 so far, but as Donahue goes high, there's no ability for a blockade, and there'll be no interruptions between these two to end the night. Walker has it up front, and it looks like now the job will be all his if he looks to take it to the checkered flag. And there's no one else besides him who will make that difference. Daniel Salo on a debut race, the 913 car, doing fantastic. Terrell Baker's fallen out of the top 10, but right now Salo is the rookie of the race, running up in the 8th position, while Mohamed Omir looks to chase him down with less than 5 laps to go. Walker lets Donahue by. Aiden is quicker with 4 laps remaining. Four laps remaining for Aiden Walker. Talking about your championship standings as they run, Walker would win the regular season title. It looks like Thurston would hang on to second, as would Mosteller hold on for P3. Same as goes for 4th place Sean Rowe. River Page would be in the mix today with Lars Kinnewith. Kinnewith having an overall better race and finding himself in 4th. It could come down to the finishing order. And Page is a big buffer. Page is likely to finish 5th in the regular season. Kinnewith would go 6th. Aladam Contreras would go 7th. 8th would be Henry Kaloff. And Corbin Collins, since he's here today, would go ahead of Andres Varas. Carlos Truther also might knock Varas out. We don't know yet, because again, Andres is not on the circuit today. That could be a difference maker in the playoff positions. If Varas is knocked off the ladder, you could see Wayne Kennedy get into the playoffs here, because he's a wild card driver, eligible for the wild card with a win. That is not guaranteed yet, but based on where Carlos Truther is running, and the fact he's on the track at all, means that he is very likely going to knock the Varas machine off of his position. 27th. It might not be a major difference, but Andres Varas could fall out, and we don't have confirmation on that yet. That's the only position that's in jeopardy. Truther and Corbin Collins will be going after Varas, and with 1 lap to go, Aiden Walker is going after his first ever regular season championship. How about a driver who has gone years winless coming into this season? The fact he got that first breakout win in Las Vegas was immense in its own right. But for the 93 crew, knowing how last regular season ended and the misfortune of falling behind when it mattered most, this season, it's been a Walker redemption tour. With his second win on the calendar, why not bring it back to victory lane when most needed? Regular season champion Aiden Walker wins from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. What a way to win for Walker. The final quarter of this race was all his, without a doubt. And with ample reason to celebrate, he's going to burn it down through the start-finish line. Second time this season he's done so, now with the regular season title and the top seed in the playoffs. Aiden Walker, what a race. And a critical point for the championship, Walker delivers big and collects the checkered flag for the second time this season. His victory is capped off with a 2-second margin at the end of day. He led 23 laps. His rival on the race at the very end, and Daniel Mosteller, led 22. Third place finisher Doug Newbegin coming away with his third podium of the season. Lars Kinnewith for P4, James Thurston for 5th, Corbin Collins 6th, and 7th place Daniel Salo. River Page goes P8, and Mohamed Omir finishes in 9th with 10th place Sean Rowe. 11th place is then Terrell Baker with 12th Beaver Serrano. 13th is Henry Kaloff, and 14th is Alexander Balderas. 15th goes Aladam Contreras, and Aiden Smith on debut finishes 16th. Derek Shaver, 17th. Hudson Sangster, 18th. Chase Schaefer, P19, and Jason Sametto, 20th. Christian Delgado, Michael Deitch, Aiden Donahue, Wayne Kennedy, and Devins Baker goes to the 25th position with Trevor Crosswhite, Carlos Truther, Dominic Barbagallo, Rusty Plant, and Xander McKinney, the final of the 30 drivers who took to the track tonight at Homestead. And most of all, not only a winner tonight for Aiden Walker when it comes to getting the checkered flag, but a critical moment for the championship race. Based on this victory, there's no doubt in mind, as the points are calculated, Walker, after finishing second in the regular season points last year, it's a regular season championship and your top seed heading into the season 7 playoffs.
Yeah, for the race, I was really just like, okay, all I gotta do tonight is just, beat Thurston and we'll have a pretty easy regular season championship. But I was really not expecting to win tonight, so just had an insane amount of pace once we got to where the tire was actually fully wear. And once I got the lead over Thurston, I knew, okay, I just got to pull out a good enough lead, which helped me on the pit stops because I probably would have been more rounded if I have my usual tire saving skills, which is usually terrible. But overall, just insane run for after starting from the back. So that's, I think, 3 races in a row that someone started from the back and got to the front, right?
That it is. I mean, you talk about Kennedy, you talk about Conklin, and it looks like tonight, even though you didn't start where you wanted to, you ended up adding yourself to that pylon.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't really expecting to get up through the field too quick. I mean, I didn't get through the field too, insanely quick, but definitely got through the field to the point where I could at least make moves after I got through most of the field to where I could still make some track position after that. And we had those 2 cautions around, I think it was lap 20 and lap 40, I think. And once those cautions happened, that really kind of just set the strategy up for the rest of the race, just be really as smooth as possible with almost a guaranteed pit stop during the long run to the end. So honestly, I'm really surprised, like I said, about the pace I had, especially over Doug, who's usually really good with tire wear. I know Demos and Durston were really pushing your tires, so really all he had to do was just get by those 2 and pretty much just set sail. So really insane run. Finally broke the bad luck streak after 3 weeks of getting involved in stuff. So hopefully we can keep this momentum and do what we did all season.
And it looks like this season, and we're going to talk about, again, Season 6 compared to Season 7, the big difference has been the execution for a critical victory. One you needed, and one I'm sure you absolutely wanted, came tonight. How important has it been for you to know you can win now and bringing that momentum into the next part of the season, being the playoffs?
I think, the main thing is, now that I know I can at least have pace over the people I know will be my main competition, yeah, I might see Chase run against me or River. I think River could be a very big championship contender if he can get out of trouble, which it seems like he's had a lot of trouble this season. It seems like every driver's had trouble this season, if I'm going to be totally honest. So as long as I can keep up that kind of smooth momentum where I'm not getting involved in stuff, unlike the last 2 weeks where constantly got involved in stuff that dropped me outside the top 15, which really killed me on the regular season points. But now that we've got that momentum back, hopefully we can keep it through for the rest of the season, win this championship.
Aiden Walker, big race today and a great performance at that. Up next on the schedule, as you mentioned, we head toward the playoff picture here. Well, first and foremost, we got that opening challenge. As the playoff begins, race number 1, it's going to be a familiar place. It's Darlington. Well, that's going to be a tricky one. Before we head down to the track too tough to tame, anything else you'd like to add for the fans here?
Well, I would like to thank my sponsors, SKS Graphics, which is just an absolute beautiful car right here. Blue Line Tennessee, Cogdell Motor Company, Lively's Custom Diecast, Hyperco Coils, really good springs for pretty much if you race at all in real life. Really good springs. Go contact them if you need any actually good springs and not ones that just fall off after like a few years. And of course, subscribe to the FTN Broadcasting channel. Great channel for broadcasting. You have so many leagues that on iRacing that have, and you also have Roblox baseball. But just go subscribe to the FTN Broadcasting. Really great channel.
Aiden Walker, 2-time race winner and regular season champion for season 7. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
With Walker on the way, although Daniel Mosteller won't find himself in the position he was last season, he'll still be top 3 in the regular season and come away with another podium. The momentum has been strong for the 87 team, even if tonight you didn't quite find victory lane.
Yeah, man, I've said the last 2 weeks that this momentum has been really good, and 3 back-to-back second places is not, nothing to be upset about, obviously. Coming strong at the right time, and it's good to have some race winning pace again after what seemed to be a very inconsistent and kind of rough start to the season.
And you're, of course, mentioning knocking off these great finishes back to back to back. Homestead-Miami Speedway, we've spoken to you about it before, leading up to this event. Struggled, you've seen it in the past here, and it looked like you got off perhaps on the wrong foot qualifying or not qualifying to start in 28th place today. How was it for you to pick apart the field to get yourself back where you expected to be?
Yeah, I was very concerned that I think the first time in a long time that I've messed up qualifying that bad. I smacked the wall both laps, but yeah, but actually I think it helped me because I learned the lines and kind of how to run the racetrack, and I made my way up very quickly through the field. I think I was in the top 5 by the 10th, 15th lap. So yeah, I definitely learned. I know I pushed my tires a bit there, but I got timely yellow there. Got back on the same playing field with everyone, and I felt like I had a good shot at the win there. Thurston was, I think, by far the fastest, and then I got the lead on the restart, and I thought I was saving my stuff, but Walker came flying by us, and he came flying by us, and didn't really have the speed. Tried a different pit strategy, and in hopes of having the tires equal out so that I could maybe have a shot at holding him off, but unfortunately that came a little late. I was able to net game with my pit strategy. I think I would have finished 5th without it. So I'm very happy to just learn a lot of things about not just this track, but the tracks that we're going to be coming to in the playoffs.
The playoff picture is up next, and it's coming down to more technical circuits, a lot like the Homestead-Miami Speedway. First of which is the Darlington Raceway. We went there last season. You've got some experience. Any chance, perhaps, for you to think about making Darlington work out your way? Maybe something from last season could help you out? You think you're going to go back to those notes?
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty similar. I think the track conditions we're going to be using is pretty similar too. And I felt like I did pretty good in that race. I had a pit road speeding penalty at the very end that kind of threw me off. But I was able to rebound from that. But I had some good pace there last season, so I definitely feel like I'll do okay there. As I said last week, the playoff schedule is almost identical to last season's, and we know how that went. So I'm feeling really confident. So we're on the right track. We just gotta keep it up and start strong next week.
The fight begins in only 7 days now. Daniel Mosteller vying for a 4th IORA Cup Series championship. Until then, anything else you'd like to leave us with here?
Yeah, I want to thank you for broadcasting as always, Mason, for off tracking, keeping everything in check. Fun racing with everyone. Another really good field. Congrats to Walker on the win in the regular season championship. Look forward to seeing y'all next week.
Checkered flag flies. Daniel Mosteller rattling off another podium position. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
With Mosteller on the move, your third place driver, Douglas Newbigging, while not championship eligible, has been on a great tear as of late. Last 3 races, 2 podiums, and it looks like, Doug, you find yourself again up in front. Just took a long while to get yourself there.
Yeah, just kind of took a long time there. I kind of knew with the long runs I had to get up towards the front, but just kind of happy we got those green flag pit stops, because if we didn't, I definitely don't think I was going to finish up front there. But, you know, that was a really good race. I was happy with that.
Tonight was ups and downs for a lot of the field. In your case, it was up and only further up. You qualified 8th place, best of those in the podium, and you kept yourself in the fight for the top 5 until the very end. Tires were scattered. We saw a few yellow flags, but eventually got the run going under green. Were you more comfortable when we got that late race run going, or do you think the cautions helped you out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, the cautions kept messing me up, because every single time when those cautions came out, that's when I was like turning my car on and really kind of running down the whole field. I was just trying to tire save for most of that race, but the last run I just didn't. But yeah, I mean, those cautions really did mess me up. I wish almost the first 3 cautions, honestly, I wish I just never happened, because I would have been ripping a lot better. But I mean, you know, it still worked out in the end. So I guess some cautions were good, some cautions were not, but most weren't. So let's just put it that way.
Getting a long run at the very tail end of it. Nighttime conditions at Homestead. We've been to this track before. I'm sure you've been there as well. Were there any differences when it came to racing in the daylight compared to the nighttime? I know a lot of you guys had practice before the sun fully set.
I don't necessarily think there was too much. I definitely felt like I ran a league race here like about a month and a half ago, and I mean it was kind of similar to that. I think like the way the track temp was for this race, I definitely felt like the rears didn't really matter too much. Like I wasn't sliding as much coming off the corners in 2 and off of 4. Kind of wish we were, but you know, that's besides the point. But yeah, I mean, the track was good. Setup felt all right. Definitely tight coming off the corners, which I'm not a big fan of. But you know, that's what you're gonna get with iRacing fixed setup. So what are you gonna do?
Regular season comes to a close, and your first attempt here in the IORA Cup Series doesn't appear you made the playoffs, but these last few runs have been proof we might see a little bit more out of you in the next coming season. How do you plan to approach the playoffs now with still a chance for that first career win?
Just kind of honestly do what I've been doing. I've been kind of like part-time, so I've just kind of been running whenever I could. Just my internship couldn't really do it over that whole time. Just not enough time during the day. So now probably gonna maybe run a little more. We'll see what the playoffs, see what tracks I like, and see if they line up in another league I'm in to see if I could get some practice with them. But yeah, I mean, I'm always going for a win, and podium's even better because there's a lot of good people here. So podium, pretty happy with, but win, I definitely think it's coming. I'm shockingly good at Darlington, so I'm hoping maybe I could pull something off there. We'll see.
Douglas Newbigging, third place once again, finding yourself up front and running strong. Just a few races away from the championship coming to its close and building that momentum. Anything else you'd like to add? We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, shout out Lucky Duck Motorsports. Shout out to the league, putting on the races. Shout out Demos, we're racing pretty good there. Shout out you guys, for putting on a great broadcast. Always love watching back, like always, and seeing how it went. Yeah, so I mean, I had a pretty fun race there. So good job, everybody, I guess. And yeah, that's all the shout outs I got right now. So,
well, Douglas Newbigging getting the job done. Third place, another strong performance as we look forward to the last leg of the championship tour. Thank you again for stopping by.
Yeah, no problem. Hopefully I'll be back up here next week or soon. So,
with Douglas Newbigging on the way, he'll finish third once again. That's a part-time rookie to look out for next season. Nevertheless, Daniel Mosteller finishes second, and Aiden Walker pulls through when it matters most. Last season, your regular season champion won the title. We'll see if that holds through this season as Aiden Walker gets it through in the clutch. The checkered flag is flown on Season 7's regular campaign. We're up next, heading to the playoff picture, and it begins with the Darlington Raceway, the Lady in Black itself. Until then, you've been watching coverage from the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway for the 10th race of the Season 7 IORA Cup Series. I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for our next broadcast, the Highline Racing League at the Twin Ring Motegi Oval. We'd love to see you there as we get back to work with more racing action on this wonderful Thursday night, but if not, we thank you for tuning in. Congratulations to Aiden Walker for collecting the checkered flag. We hope you have a fantastic night.